In Perryton, Texas, mamas still let their babies grow up to be cowboys.
Well, this is where I started first grade in 1950.
Most of John Erickson's classmates probably ended up working this red dirt panhandle land, but John had other plans.
When I was a kid going to Perryton Elementary, I never thought of being a writer, and I don't think anybody else did either. We just didn't know that writers could come from places like this. I never thought about being a writer until I was a senior in high school.
It was 1988 when we first heard the story behind this storyteller.
When I graduated from high school in Perryton, I couldn't wait to get out of town, and I never figured that I would want to come back. All I knew was that there was a place called New York, and I wanted to go there and see it. And I lived there for 2 summers, and went to Harvard University for 2 years, and lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I wanted to be a little scholar, I guess. And but when I was up there, I made a startling discovery, which was that I was a 5th generation Texan, and I could never be a Harvard Don. I would never be a Bostonian. I would either be a good Texan or a bad Texan.
Ambition and book learning took John Erickson all the way to the hallowed halls of Harvard University. Horse sense led him back home.
I had an instinct that I wanted to write about this part of the country, and I thought that my first job as a writer was to learn my subject matter intimately, deeply. I was offered a job in 1974 managing a 5,000-acre cattle ranch.
Today, John's a legend in these parts, but we knew him when? Back when he was just a skinny cowboy with not much more than a high-tech word processor and an idea for a character named Hank the Cowdog.
I would get up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning and go to my writing place, which was in a bunkhouse or a barn or a garage or something. And I would write until I had to go work for the ranch.
For years, John would rise before the roosters to write, start cowboying at sunup, and write some more after dark. The stories were mostly funny little articles for Cattleman magazine. But to John's surprise, nothing went over as well as a silly little story about a tough old cowdog named Hank and his goofy canine sidekick named Drover.
And I wrote a short story called Confessions of a Cowdog.
In 1982, John Erickson wrote the first Hank the Cowdog book and decided he didn't need anyone's permission to be an author. John self-published out of his garage under the name Maverick Books. These days, Perryton's only publisher needs a little more space.
Never thought there'd be a second one, but it was a big hit in a tiny area. Tiny area meaning 100-mile radius of Perryton. And people kept saying you need to do more with the dogs. So I had sense enough to listen to the people in my community rather than the people in New York who were telling me, go away, get a job, find something else to do.
Hank the Cowdog and Maverick Books grew up together. The hugely popular children's book series is now in its 56th volume, and Maverick offers a line of audiobooks to make those long family road trips fly by. All the characters are voiced by John himself in a style he developed while touring the nation's schools, building an audience for Hank the Cowdog.
My stuff all adapts well to reading aloud. I developed a way of writing which is an imitation of a cowboy's way of telling a story.
Drover, there's only one thing that keeps you from being a good cowdog.
What is it, Hank?
You're worthless.
Oh no, don't say it. It hurts too much.
You're just a chicken-hearted little mutt. is what you are.
A lot of dogs wouldn't have gone to all this trouble. When things go sour at the house, they just shrug and say, "So what?"
Few children's characters hang around for 3 years, much less 3 decades. So how has Hank the Cowdog fought off Power Rangers and Harry Potter? Well, John Erickson says there's a moral to that story.
There is a lesson in every story, but I'm not really trying to be a teacher or a preacher. Kids know it by instinct, just like cattle will go to a piece of ground and lick it where salt has been. They need salt, and they go and they lick it. Kids find something that soothes their spirit or nourishes their spirit, and they go to it. Well, that's not there by accident. What kind of story do you want to have when you go to bed? You don't want vampire stories. You don't want stories with villains and bad guys. You want something that soothes your spirit. Well, I think that's one of the functions of art. It should do that. And if it can't do that, let artists go get a job. Let them chop down trees or cut firewood or dig holes or bust rock. That's good, honest work. And if you do that long enough, you might come up with a good story.
Maybe she wanted me to ride into town with her. Hey, that made sense. I mean, she was probably in a hurry, and the ride into town would give us plenty of time to talk and share and patch things up.
In 28 years, the world has changed. Some say for worse, but Hank the Cowdog hasn't changed a lick. The head of ranch security is still the same misunderstood, courageous, loyal, kind-hearted mutt he always was. So long as Perryton keeps reading, Hank will keep guarding the dreams of sleeping kiddos everywhere.
In a small town, America seems to work, and I find it a natural place to be a writer and also a natural place to be a publisher. Those other places were nice, but it was like trying on clothes. You know, there's your skin and then there's your clothes. I had tried on a lot of clothes and had tried to wash off the taint of being country from a small town, and I found that it was not a coat of paint, it was my skin, and it was something I hadn't found anywhere else, and it's been a wonderful place to be an author.